The aim of this experiment was to investigate how the angle of the ramp affects the distance travelled when the same force is applied each time.
The independent variable is the angle of the ramp. We know this because by changing the angle, the amount of force needed to push the object, which was the toy car, up the ramp will change. The dependent variable is the distance the toy car travels up the ramp when 10 newtons of force is applied.
We know this because when the angle of ramp increases, the amount of effort force needed will increase too. And because we are not changing the amount of effort force, the toy car will travel a smaller distance. The control variable is the effort force of 10 newtons which we applied each time.
I predict that if you increase the angle of the ramp, it will increase the amount of force needed to push the substance up the ramp. However, by keeping the amount of force applied to the object the same, whenever the angle of the ramp is increased, I predict that as the size of the angle increases, the object will travel a shorter distance up the ramp if the same effort force is applied each time. And now we have inserted a short clip of our method throughout this entire experiment. Enjoy! And here are our results. To shortly explain it, you can obviously see that at 10 degrees, the amount that the toy car travelled up the ramp is larger, and as you increase the angle of the ramp, the toy car travelled a shorter distance. This proves our hypothesis that when you increase the angle of the ramp, the toy car will travel a shorter distance because it requires more effort force to go the entire way up the ramp.
An example of this is from our results. At 10 degrees here, it was 77.5 centimetres up the ramp. But if you look down at 40, it's only 17.1 centimetres, which is a huge difference.
And here is how our experiment applies to real life. Yay! Okay. Biking up here would be a lot easier than, say, if I biked up that steep hill you just saw me do, because the angle is steeper and it requires more force and more effort for me to bike up my drive than down there. In conclusion, the aim of this experiment was to investigate
How the angle of the ramp affects the distance travelled when the same force is applied each trial.
The graph shows that as the angle increases, the distance the car travels up the ramp decreases at a constant
Example.
rate.
When the angle was at 10 degrees, the distance the car travelled when 10 newtons of force was applied was 77.5 centimetres.
Which is a significantly larger distance.
Travelled than when the angle was at 40 degrees.
Because the car only travelled 17.1 centimetres.
When 10 newtons of force was applied. This makes our hypothesis correct.
When the angle increases, the amount of work needed to push yourself or push an object up the slope will become harder and work is measured in joules.